He's Ernie Johnson, Turner's sports host of Inside the NBA, outstanding sports personality, host, the winner of the Sports Emmy 4 times, and he joins us on the program. Ernie, how are you today?
DP, I am about as well as you can expect, and I hope you're doing well, too.
We're doing okay. Do you have a man cave at the home?
I have an office. I don't really call it a man cave. It is an office that has, the TV and has my work stuff in there and memorabilia and that kind of thing. But I just usually spend a lot of late nights in there when I'm doing research and that kind of thing and homework, and when everybody's asleep. But it's not a full-blown man cave because people can walk past it all the time. Kids can walk in, grandkids can walk in, dogs walk in. So it's my version.
Do you collect sports memorabilia?
Not intentionally, really. It's kind of crazy. I have a lot of stuff through the years, and I don't know if you do the same thing, but I'll throw something in a box. I'll throw a credential in a box. I'll throw various things. And the other day, or actually over the last few months, my wife and I have kind of said, she said, you need to get rid of some of this stuff that's in the basement. And so we have a room that's kind of set aside now. And I went through it the other day and I was amazed at some of the things that I had kept. Dan, I was started in the radio back in the 70s. And in 1977, I was working at Q105 Radio in Athens. And I actually kept a desk calendar, one of those with the flip over pages. And in a box, in the bottom of a box, was this desk calendar. So I started looking through it. And then I needed to call Bill Kratzer immediately because Bill was a great golfer at the University of Georgia. I would later work with him 25 years later on the PGA Championship, but here was a note for this December day that it was going to be Bill Kratzer Day at the University of Georgia Golf Course, and I needed to go cover it. And it was just very bizarre, and that was kind of like, you know what, it's kind of a good thing that you hold on to some of this stuff. I've been able to throw some away, but I do have some things that kind of have some meaning, after years and years.
I can't throw stuff away. I mean, that's why I have the man cave. I moved into a big man cave or bigger man cave just because I have all of this stuff that I collected. And I knew one day it might come in handy, and it has, because I have a chance to show it all off. And I don't know what I'm going to do when I retire, because this is I have the best man cave anybody has.
I'm sure.
It's crazy.
And what's ridiculous is that I come to this. I have this dilemma. I'm standing in the middle of my basement, and I'm trying to decide if I should throw away this Goodwill Games T-shirt from Russia that has a bunch of mysterious, like coffee stains and dirt on it. And I'm saying, well, I can't really hang it up. I don't want people to, but I can't really throw it away either. So now it's back in a box, and it's hidden from my wife. So
why don't you film this, Ernie? Why don't you do a kind of a virtual tour of all the things that you might be throwing out?
I've thought about doing that. I've thought about going down into because really I now have like these 2 rooms. I have the office upstairs, and I have this place in the basement downstairs, a room that we finished, where I have hung a few things up, and you got a Cal Ripken jersey down there, and I've got a few other, things and hats from all various events and memos that were, I have memos from Turner in the 80s, that I've held on to. And there's just part of me that says, don't let go of that. And so, it would kind of be a fun virtual tour. And these days, we're all looking for fun virtual things to do, aren't we?
Absolutely. Ernie Johnson, Turner's sports host and host of Inside the NBA. What do you miss most about Shaq?
His laugh, probably, and the joy he gets out of coming into work and trying to do something that gets 2 billion YouTube hits. I think that's probably. But I kind of miss them all for the same reason. I miss him and Kenny and Charles all for that same reason, that we just have this kind of this I can't describe the bond we have, but I've told people that I grew up with two older sisters, and this is as close as I'll ever come to having brothers, and I just miss hanging with them, man. You know, it's like you just miss the little things about being together and doing the show, and you miss the 2:15 comments about, from Kenny, threatening the producer, saying, "We better hurry up these last two segments. I got to get out of here at 2:15 in the morning." So I miss all that stuff.
If I would have told you a month ago this is where we would be with the NBA, what would you have said?
I think I would have believed that at that point. I mean, because it really has been, it's been a month, and that night that there were no games for the first time, the night after the suspension, and we had Adam Silver on the show, and just the vibe that we got from him and talking to him was, hey, this is a great unknown, and we just kind of have to wait. And so I'd never thought at that point that, hey, maybe in a couple of weeks things will be back to normal. But then when I spoke to him earlier this week, again, we had this initiative called, hashtag NBA Together, in which we just kind of catch up to people around the NBA. Might spend 15, 20 minutes, might spend a half hour with them on the phone. And I asked him that same thing. I said, "Adam, do you know any more than we knew when we spoke a month ago?" And he's like, "Not really." He said, "I know enough to say that we're not going to have any kind of a decision in the month of April about where we're going." And so, yeah, it's I just hope we're all coping the right way. And I know, look, can I be totally honest with you, Dan? I've been inconvenienced. I can say that. Look, there are people out there who are really, really struggling during this time. We've been inconvenienced by a schedule. I still am able to do work from my house, to do these interviews and to do like a virtual journalism school for college kids, and we're doing okay. But man, my heart just goes out for those folks who are hoping that a ventilator shows up and that face masks show up. Man, this is very hard. I watched that movie Contagion the other night. Yeah. I told myself I wasn't going to do it, and the neighbor said you should watch it. Yeah. And it's amazing how this 2011 movie mirrors what we're looking at now in many respects.
You can see Ernie interviewing some of the biggest names in the NBA on episodes of hashtag NBA Together, Mondays and Wednesdays. Visit at NBA handle on social media. Co-host of the Steam Room podcast with Charles Barkley. Also, Ernie has his journalism school, and you can find out more at Turner Sports EJ. I thought about you yesterday. We had Hank Aaron on, and the anniversary of him breaking Babe Ruth's record, and he was one of my favorite people. He's 86 years of age, and I thought of your father too. Longtime broadcaster for the Braves. And then I thought of Craig Sager, because Sager's on the damn field at home plate with a white trench coat. And I'm going, only Sager could do it. And I think he has his little portable radio microphone that he's holding up. It's still so surrealistic, where two guys run on the field. Hank is trying to keep his dignity, rounding third, heading for home. And there's Craig Sager chasing him to home plate. With the same haircut from Sager went wire to wire with that. He went wire to wire. Yeah.
It never changed, and it is amazing to consider that, because when you think about these days and obviously how tight security is at all these events, that a guy could run out with that trench coat with a Radio Shack tape recorder, no visible credential, and that haircut, and speak with Hank Aaron as he touches home plate is absolutely stunning.
I know.
Did the Hammer remember Craig in that scene at the plate?
He said one of the guys who came onto the field became a doctor. He remembered his mom holding on tightly. I didn't bring up Sager, but I'm sure Hank probably is wondering, I got all my teammates out here, my mom and some dude in a bad haircut and a trench coat.
It's exactly right. But I think Craig actually did get like a usable couple of seconds out of that from hearing the playback later, because you could hear his question like, "Hey Henry, hey," and then you hear people kind of going crazy around him. But that was Segs. That was the guy who's like, if there was a big event anywhere, he wanted to be there, even if we weren't covering it. And back then, he was a radio guy in Florida somewhere.
Yeah, who
had gone up there to say, I'm going to cover this game. But who knew that his designs were to actually greet Henry at the plate? That was one of the classic. It's almost like if you were watching a movie where a guy was dreaming about he wished he had been at the ballpark when Henry Aaron hit 715, and then he envisioned himself as this guy. But it was a real life deal for Segs, man. Again, I shake my head, and it brings a smile in my face, because that's the way Segs went after it, man. It didn't have to be an assignment like for Turner for him to be at a big event.
Oh,
too.
he just loved it. He truly loved going to those events. I'll leave you with this. Where do you think we're going to get to where we're at the point of no return with trying to squeeze in playoffs here with this season? You got a feel for that?
I don't know. I tried to get that. I tried to get, really kind of any kind of a timeline from the commissioner the other day, and it would probably be, for me, it'd be all speculation. So I don't, but I'm looking at it and I'm saying, if you come back in June, and I don't know. I mean, can you finish a regular season? That's why there are so many variables. Can you finish a regular season and give a team like the Portland Trail Blazers, that's number 9 right now, a chance to move up to 8 over 15 games? I don't think, and then you're saying, how is this going to impact next season?
Yeah.
Then how do you want to? So DP, I'm not trying to dodge it, but I am trying to dodge it, because I don't want to put something out there that suddenly people are saying, oh, they think he thinks it's going to start in June. I have no idea. And I told the commissioner the other day, I said, look, if I've heard all these things about going to Vegas and having a tournament and all this stuff and quarantining the teams, I just said, unless we can be absolutely certain and that every medical official has signed off on this and said it's not going to be a danger to anybody's health, well, you better be sure, because as long as there is the possibility, there are worse things in the world than not being able to crown a champion in the NBA this year. I just think for the greater good, you've got to consider all that. So I hope we're back playing. But man, there's a lot more. There's a lot more stuff to consider these days. It's that weighs a lot heavier than that.
Hope the family's great. Always great to talk to you, Ernie. Thank you, and hopefully talk soon and have some basketball to talk about.
Yeah, we're doing well here. Hope you guys are too, and we'll get through this. And yeah, we'll talk again, and I'll give you a virtual tour of that room.
I can't wait. Thank you, Ernie. That's Ernie Johnson, TNT.